So, a lot of people are wondering if the Snyderverse is going to be ended now that we have James Gunn and Peter Safran as the new heads of the DC studios, and their plans for the DC movies are kind of moving everyone in that direction. Next week, they will release their plan to David Zaslav. I don't know when they will share the plan with the world. I guess after that plan has been approved, then the plan will go on to be shared with the world. But for now, Wonder Woman 3 is not moving forward, y'all. Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman 3, not moving forward as DC movies hit turning point. New DC studio heads are in the final stages of prepping their multi-year plan ahead of next week's pivotal presentation. Some people, of course, a lot of people are not upset over this because they did not like Wonder Woman 1984. I am in the minority. I liked Wonder Woman 1984. I was looking forward to Wonder Woman 3. But I'm kind of interested to see what this plan is going to be. So let's see what they have in store. Call it a DC Rebirth or DC Genesis. Maybe call it Identity Crisis or Flashpoint. These titles of past DC Comics event series aptly describe the state of Warner Brothers DC movies, which are on the cusp of a new era, but not before a potentially messy transition period. We all know I love mess. A cleaning of the slate is common when a new executive team is put in place to run a studio or division, but there is likely little precedent for the amount of Clorox James Gunn and Peter Safran could spray as they prepare to launch DC Studios and guide superhero movies for the next half decade and beyond. The duo in recent days flew back to Los Angeles from the snowy city of Aspen, Colorado, where they were huddled in deep planning, and now, like holy figures coming down from the mountaintop, have sets of commandments or a DC Bible in hand, or at least a working blueprint. Gunn and Safran are expected to meet next week with David Zaslav, who is radically reshaping the media company and who hired the duo in October. Basically, one of the only things he's done that I agreed with to lead a newly launched film and TV division. The pair will unveil to Zaslav a plan that is expected to lay out their vision. Although much of their plan, which insiders paint as a still work in progress and one that has yet to be approved, is being kept deep in the Batcave. Okay, all of these metaphors is just too much. It's too much, Hollywood Reporter. It's too much. Details of several possible paths forward are trickling out. And at least one path not being taken has also been revealed. Multiple sources tell the Hollywood Reporter that Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman is not moving forward and is considered dead in its current incarnation. And I feel a certain way about that. I feel a certain way about Patty Jenkins not getting a chance to do a third Wonder Woman 3 because other directors who are not women get a chance to make, movies that didn't do quite well, and they get their third chance. She does a movie that people wasn't too happy about, and then all of a sudden her chances are just dead in the water, and she doesn't deserve another chance. Neither did any of the other directors who made horrible movies, but guess what? They got other chances. I think it's very unfair that Patty Jenkins doesn't get a chance to do another Wonder Woman 3. I hope that they bring her on for this next, at least bring her back for this new wave of movies that they make and not just completely cut her out. Sources say that Jenkins recently submitted her treatment, co-written with Jeff Johns, and that Gunn and Safran, as well as the Warner Brothers Pictures co-chairs and co-CEOs Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy, broke the news to the filmmaker, telling her that the project, as it stood, did not fit in with the new but still unfolding plans. Jenkins directed and co-wrote the previous two movies starring Gal Gadot and released in 2017 and 2020. No decision has been made about next steps. And while costs are not a factor, insiders say that DC Studios will not have any overburdensome financial restrictions, and the studio could end up saving tens of millions of dollars by not making the third installment. Gadot, according to sources, was on track for a $20 million payday for Wonder Woman 3, while Jenkins would have received $12 million. Those figures don't include any possible back-end bonuses. I guess you can guess how I feel about that. It is unclear how any future Wonder Woman movie and Gadot's portrayal of the hero would fit into the new DC plan. In a bit of head-scratching timing, Gadot tweeted out of the blue, thank you to fans Tuesday, saying she was grateful to be allowed to play the heroine and role model, adding, can't wait to share her next chapter with you. It was unclear whether or not the actress knew the project was being toe tagged. The rest of the DC slate remains in flux, or at least is being kept deep in the pocket of Gunn's own utility belt. Come on, stop. But there are, so let's say James Gunn is Batman. Is this what we're saying? We're calling James Gunn Batman because Batman is the greatest thing that ever was. But there are several rumors and possible scenarios to consider ahead of next week's meeting. The first, which builds on the shuttering of Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3, is the closing curtain of the Snyderverse and the heroes cast by filmmaker Zack Snyder for his Justice League. This one sees the shutting down of Man of Steel 2 with the returning Henry Cavill, and having no more Aquaman fronted by Jason Momoa. Oh, that breaks my soul. Oh, no, not Jason Momoa. These characters are the cameo in Flash, the highly anticipated time travel adventure movie that is due to release June 16th. Cavill shot his part of the cameo in September, but sources say there is a debate inside the studio as whether or not to keep the cameo and if its inclusion promises something that the studio would have no plans on delivering. A Warner's insider cautions that no plans have been finalized and the Flash remains an unlocked picture. An unlocked picture in December, and it's coming out in 6 months. That's troubling. The Cavill situation is more than a little thorny, as the actor made a cameo in Black Adam, the DC-centric movie released in October. The Monday after the movie opened, Cavill posted a video on Instagram where he announced, I wanted to make it official. I am back as Superman. And at the time, he was not incorrect. Warner Brothers was indeed developing a sequel for 2013's Man of Steel and actively meeting with writers. Andy Muschietti, I hope I said that right, who directed Flash, even expressed interest in sitting behind the camera for something that would have brought a tone similar to the hopeful and heroic colors of the 1978 movie directed by Richard Donner, considered a benchmark in comic book movies. See, I liked the Richard Donner Superman movies. And I want something, it doesn't have to be exactly like the Richard Donner movies, but something along that line. That's the Superman that I like. That's the Superman that I grew up with. That's the Superman that I love. In fact, the current leadership team at Warner Brothers Pictures, Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy, did desire one more go around of the Snyderverse heroes, possibly even having another Justice League movie with those actors. But that was before Gunn and Safran began formulating their new and still in flux plan. Also unlikely is a sequel to Black Adam. Damn. Despite the hype surrounding the movie of launching a new corner of DC, a lot of it led by star Dwayne Johnson, the movie has only grossed $385 million worldwide. And insiders at the studio say the movie, which cost more than $190 million to produce, two sources peg the actual cost at $230 million, not including marketing, will be lucky to break even. Damn. Even considering ancillary revenue. Even if the movie does eke out a minimal profit, any follow-ups inherent rising costs dim the prospect of a sequel. They're putting too much money in these movies where they have to make $500 million in order to be successful. That's $385 million is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And there's no way that that shouldn't be a successful movie. They really need to cut back. They need to find a way. We need to find a way to go back to making these movies for $100 and $200 million. Johnson hoped to carve out his own piece of the DC pie, but multiple sources say his playing up of a returning Cavill and his own involvement with DC may not be endearing him to the new management. Johnson and Cavill are both managed by Danny Garcia, who is also Johnson's producing partner. The perception of Adam turning a profit or not is a conflagration now being waged in public, with Johnson tweeting the movie would net over $50 million after a Variety story said the movie would lose over $50 million theatrically. Momoa, meanwhile, could emerge as a pivotal figure in the new plans, according to several sources. In one scenario, the actor would wrap up his days as underwater hero Arthur Curry with Lost City due out December 25th, 2023. Wait a minute. I thought this was coming out in March. They pushed it all the way back to Christmas of 2023, which would be the final movie release that was made by the previous regime, but it would not spell the end of the actor's involvement with DC, with sources saying the actor would lead another movie or franchise. The character of Lobo, a foul-mouthed cigar-chopping intergalactic bounty hunter, has been mentioned in connection with Momoa. Whether or not Momoa does play everybody's favorite Bastiche, Lobo emerging as a rising character early on in the conversation may point to the kinds of characters the Gunn Safran team may be focusing on. The character is an outsider, an anti-hero, and is keeping in line with Gunn's specialty of taking the offbeat and quirky and flipping it into a crowd-pleasing fare. Part of the plan would entail a truly fresh start and having no baggage from any previous regimes as they set about resetting how DC movies and shows are made. That, however, does not take into account the possible success of movies such as Shazam, Fury of the Gods, on which Safran is a producer, and Blue Beetle. With that plan include forging ahead without the actors who inhabit those characters and recast them, even if those movies prove to be box office hits. Observers are convinced the plan calls for an interconnected story universe, and there is rumblings of the establishment of a creative brain trust. The brain trust may already be rolling in some capacity, as sources say that Safran had in recent weeks been meeting with writers at his Los Angeles home in an effort to hone the presentation, gathering feedback and ideas for the plan. One part that Gunn Safran agenda seems likely not to touch, at least for now, is the Matt Reeves Batman universe, in which Robert Pattinson dons the cowl of the Caped Crusader. Reeves is writing the sequel to The Batman, which opened March 4th. The filmmaker is also overseeing the launch of 2 Batman series that spin out of his movie, including The Penguin. Okay. I can understand them. You know, when you come in, it's a difficult thing to try to create something new on the backs of what somebody has already created. It's much easier to create something fresh, completely fresh. So I can understand them wanting to discard of the Snyderverse and start all over from scratch. So I can see that. I'm just, there are things that are going to make me sad, mainly getting rid of Jason Momoa and Dwayne Johnson, because I love Black Adam and I love Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Shazam was funny. I haven't seen Blue Beetle yet, so I don't know how I feel about that yet, but I like Shazam. So they hadn't really got a chance to do much, and they're already being scrapped. But, you know, this next universe better be popping. It better be on and popping. If we're gonna scrap stuff that was working, it better be on and popping. That's all I have got to say. But I am looking forward to seeing what they have in store. So, okay. I don't know what they're gonna call this. I don't know. I don't know this. I don't know what verse. I don't know what they're gonna call. They Hollywood Reporter seems to like to compare James Gunn to Batman. So, you know, I don't know what they're gonna refer to this as, but we shall see. We shall see what type of universe this will be called in the future. But that's all for now. Thanks.